the new 97.7, Boston's #1 for throwbacks.
Yes.
Forget it's KJ here. Ladies and gentlemen, the new kids on the block.
Throwback. The ultimate throwback.
Well, you guys you would be the king of throwback here in Boston.
Yeah.
And so let's throw it back, because what first got my attention was Please Don't Go Girl. But I want to go and ask, what was your energy? What was the nervous energy when that song came out? Like, is this going to happen for us? What do we do if this doesn't break? It's not our first record. Take us back to like right after Please Don't Go Girl comes out, and you're like, where does this go?
Well, the first thing, it went to urban radio first,
right?
So it didn't really do well there. So we were probably like nervous and a little worried because we had an album before that flopped. So we were a little nervous, and but we knew we put together a really good album, so we knew we had a shot. But once it started getting picked up by radio stations, it was like that slow climb to get into the top 10. So it was like we were on tour at the time, so it was like a long
grinding it out,
watching it go up like 2 spots, go up, 3 spots.
Were you constantly like over your shoulder to your management team, like, okay, what's going on? What's going on?
We were constantly looking at Billboard, like where we were, because then it wasn't like you didn't have the charts like on the internet and everything. You had to actually go and look at Billboard.
Right. It's also like what our reference point was then was like being kids from Dorchester.
Right.
Like our only reference point of fame that we could even slightly relate to was New Edition.
Right.
So we would see them in the music video riding Honda scooters around, and like for me it was like, damn, I want to get a Honda scooter.
Right.
That's fame. Like fame is like being able to have a car and drive around Dorchester. You know? It's like what it became. We had no clue, it was like we were on tour, but we were also still in school.
Right.
So a lot of us were like, in school, and our record was on the radio, and a couple of students knew about it. A lot of them didn't know about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it was like, it was a trippy time, and like going back to that time right now, talking about it with you, it's like, it's really hard to fathom how far we've come. I mean, we just, we were high school kids, and, now we're like 50-year-old men.
That means we're all 50-year-old men here sitting here.
Saving our per diem.
Right, exactly.
New Kids on the Block, September 19th, Fenway Park, along with BBD, special guest. I have an idea what that special guest is, but I have a bad habit of ruining surprises here. So now let's go to when Step by Step
Floral guests.
Floral guests.
It's a Boston celebration, so it's not special guests.
Donnie, you're giving it away, I think.
No, I ain't giving it. No, it's a whole bunch of them. This is gonna be a Boston throwdown, because Aerosmith and Extreme are the night before.
That's
We're going crazy on our night. We're going crazy.
So tickets go on sale Friday, but you can win them now at 977thebeat.com. So send us that email. Get yourself in there. Get as close. Okay, you can't get as close to the guys as I am right now. So let's go to Step by Step. And by this time, you guys could sweat in a bottle and sell it for $25, right? What's the nervous energy like at that time?
You got to follow up, hanging tough. So it's, we were nervous because it was so successful. And then, at that point, it had, 4 or 5 hit singles off of that. So we had to kind of live up to that. So Step by Step was actually a song by Maurice Starr, producer and writer, had written it for another group. What was the name of? Does anyone remember the name of the group? Superiors. It was like a local group he produced it for. And we always loved the song, so we were always hinting at like, can we get that song? Can we do that?
That song.
Yeah, Superiors. we jacked it.
I remember we went to see Hammer. I think it was me and you. I think we went to the Worcester Centrum at the time to see Hammer when Step by Step was out, and we went backstage, and he's like working out in the dressing room, and he goes, "Man," because it was when You Can't Touch Us and Hammer Don't Hurt Him was the big album. It was like #1 for like 20-some weeks, and we were like, "Man, you're doing so good." He said, "Yeah, but I knew when Step by Step came out, it was over." But we unseated him at #1 on the chart for top album for a week, and then he went right back to #1. So we were like, we took you down for a week. Yeah. Sorry. He went right back. I mean, we knew like it was still huge, and we were still doing great, but it was also like you could see that like we didn't just have a lock like on the business. It was still like there was still a lot of other stuff to contend with, and Hammer was massive at the time. So it was like we went from like no one could really touch us to we can't touch that.
New Kids on the Block, Fenway Park. The rumor is true. Along with BBD and special guests, it's really going to be a huge Boston celebration.
Yes.
You have a Boston celebration, you have to have it at Fenway.
Why not?
Yeah, you have to. I mean, because you can't do it on the Common anymore. It's just too open.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, there's something special about playing the Garden, which we did
Right.
on our last tour, on the mixtape tour. Last summer we played there, and that's a sacred place too. It's
Yeah.
not the old Garden, but
That's-
nonetheless.
right.
Really for us, anytime we get in front of a hometown crowd, it's so emotional. It's really hard to explain. I know people sort of over dramatize certain things, but for us, and I think for our fans and the people in the building, it really does take you back through time. I mean, it's a throwback, but it's an emotional, connected throwback, which makes it all the more. I mean, that's why people love throwbacks. I mean, it's why we've accepted that we are a throwback band.
The new 97.7 to be the Boston, that's a throwback. Right.
Exactly. It's like once we really embrace that, people really want to go down memory lane with us. I think it's taken us to a whole nother level of connectivity with the audience and success. To be quite frank, I mean, our tours are getting bigger every year. And I think the more we accept the throwback nature of who we are, and the fans, that's what they want, the more successful it gets. So it's been a real blessing.
So you guys having more fun in life as adults, or when you were teenagers, pretty much eating anything you wanted, going anywhere you wanted, spending anything you want? What's been more enjoyable at this point in your life, those teenage years or the years that you have now?
Well, that's funny. I mean, because during your teenage years, you're like, this is bomb. And then now at 50, you look back and it's just like, it's just a whole different thing. But, I mean, teenage life was great. The early years of the New Kids were great. But I'm happy right now, at 50 and settled in life and, have no cares about what people thinking. And so I would say now, and I think even now, I think we've all grown up and we have such a different relationship than when we were kids.
Right.
There was a lot of fist throwing.
Right,
when we
exactly.
were
I'm sure there were a few
kids.
wrestling matches. Be like, we got to get on the stage.
Yeah. So now it's so nice. It couldn't be any more perfect.
I think the September 19th show at Fenway is going to be incredible. My wife, we're in the car picking up my kid, and she's like, oh, really? So that's just going to be an absolute blast. And before I go, I have a personal story, and this involves Jordan. So you're doing the promo tour for Give It To You. This has to be around 2005. You're in the Midwest. And you and I are in this radio station sitting in a room I have on a Pedro jersey. Now, you may only remember this because, like, how many brothers do you see sitting in a Pedro jersey in the Midwest? And you're like, hey, so we start talking about the dance studio, about how Elroy had gotten me here to Boston, and how you knew Elroy, and the dance studio behind the old courthouse. And you're like, yo, you're probably nicer than all of them here. And I was like, you said, but you wouldn't say it. You said, you're going to go back to Boston. You end up back here. So I'm back here. So I got to say thank you. Just as a personal story from me to you, thank you. Because sometimes what you speak into the universe does show up.
Yes, it does.
Wow.
And so we'll be showing up in massive numbers. In fact, I wonder who gets to sit in the newly built, where the seven Union,
Yeah.
and the risers above the Green Monster.
Oh yeah.
So September 19th, tickets on sale Friday. New Kids on the Block. Peace to Joey out on assignment today, but we thank you guys so much for being here, and we cannot wait for the Boston celebration. We might as well just call it Boston Weekend.
That's right.
That's
The
it.
homestand.
Exactly.
The homestand.
New Kids on the Block.
Thank you.
Yes.
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 Maurice.